All right, we give praise, honor, and esteem to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach today. Pick this up in the fifth chapter of John and 39th verse. So search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they was testified of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that come from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Praise be to Yahuwah. Psalm 69 is doing fine. Psalm 69. We'll pick this up at verse 5 and go from 5 to 7. And then we'll work our way after that. O Elohim, you know my foolishness and my sins are not hid from you. Let not them that wait on you, O Yahuwah Elohim of hosts, be ashamed. Not Michael Jackson. For say, let not those that seek you be confounded for my sake, O Elohim of Yasharal. Because for your sake I have borne reproach. Shame have covered my face. So shalom, though, man. Oh, because I went to the gym earlier, I put that glove on to cover up my dressing to be over my stitches. So Deidre will change my dressing when I wash my hand again. I have to set it in a bowl with soap and water and then put a fresh dressing on it. Makes it easier for me to grip the bars and things and whatnot. One of my employees was like, man, you ain't got to go ahead and pay them people again to take your stitches out. They fall out. It was funny because I just seen a white dude said he had took 72 stitches out of his own body at one time. Yeah, I be trying to work with it on, man, but them boys don't want me to work till my hand all the way healed. They be like, screw it, man. Just sit back and chill. I appreciate that. Because we won't have too many people who work for you be like, shoot, nigga, we don't care if you're hurt or not. Come on out here and do it. Them boys like, we got it, man, you good. So let's drop down here, right? In Psalm 69, let's pick it up about verse 16. Yeah, I couldn't grip that ball that Sunday. I went right back Monday and we ain't had no problem. Because the cut is right there. So it's right by my thumb. So right where you would have to grip the bar at, where the pressure would be at the bar, that's where the stitch is at. Yes, Muffin, what may I do for you? What are you getting? Why are you getting it? Oh, you look perplexed at my query. You get an applesauce. Why you want applesauce? What do you mean? You don't know. You want it. You don't know why you want it?
Well, I do. I think I do.
You think you do. You either know why you want it or you don't.
I do because I'm hungry.
Oh, then why you just didn't say I'm getting an applesauce because I'm a little famished, a little hungered, a little faint, desirous for some victuals.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know why. Oh, did you thought you were being reprimanded of some sort?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? What does what mean?
Reprimanded?
Reprimanded. That means being chastised, corrected, in trouble, if you will.
Yes.
Why would you think that?
I think that all the time.
Why do you think that all the time? So just because someone asks you a question, you automatically assume you're in trouble?
Yes.
Why? Do you get in trouble every time someone asks you a question?
Mm-hmm.
So then why would you have such a thought process? Again, you're acting like we're some type of savages, some brute beasts. I don't like it. Get your applesauce. Psalm 69 and 16. Hear me, O Yahuwah. Your loving kindness is good. Turn unto me according to the multitude of your tender mercies. Hide not your face from your servant, for I am in trouble. Hear me speedily. Draw near unto my soul, redeem it, and deliver me because of my enemies. Of course, we're going to be looking at that with David in a moment. Listen what he says. You have known my reproach, my shame, my dishonor. My adversaries are all before me. Now, this is a twofold thing with David and Mashiach. Let me get verse 20 and swing it all the way through. Reproach have broken my heart. I am full of heaviness. I looked for some to take pity. There was none. And for comforters, but I found none. Now, let's look at reproach. Have broken my heart. And it's really just a broken part. We know what reproach is. We know what heart is going to be. Just grabbing the word for broken. And what do we have for it here? We have shabar, which is to break violently. You have Shan, Ba, and Raj. So we see that the son of Elohim has been consumed. This is what has caused his heart to break. Let's go over here to Matthew 26 on general principle. Matthew chapter 26, verse 36. Little Muffin, where have you departed to? Where have you ran off to? Why are you hiding back there?
Because I like spending time with her because she's fun. But I'm not fun with her.
Oh, did you know you were fun to hang out with? Yeah, that's what your daughter said. She said you're fun to hang out with. You hang out with your mother? What do you do? Oh, wait on that because it looks like you're going to draw that out. Matthew 26 and 36. Shalom, man. Then come Yahushua with them unto a place called Jessamine and say unto his disciples, sit ye here while I go pray yonder. He took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then he said unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Wait you here and watch with me. Now, we're reading this particular passage. That's all this junk doing is eating up my battery power. Because it says reproach has broken his heart. Now, of course, that broken is Shabar, which is the son of Elohim, is consumed. So therefore, his heart is broken because of the disgrace and dishonor, which leads to the exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. See, now I want you to pause. Come to 2 Corinthians, I believe. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 might be what I desire. Let me make so. Yes. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 is what I desire. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, you can pick it up at verse 6. Oh, yeah, by the way, we'll be back on that Google Meet, Yahuwah willing, Friday at 12:30. 12:30. I guess I'll get the link and place it in the chat. I know my mans will tag me in it and share it. The likelihood of me resharing it is probably 0 to none. But yeah, 12:30, about an hour or so. Yahuwah willing, I don't forget. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 7. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of Elohim and not of us. See, let's pause. So we see that the excellency, especially the excellency that Yahushua prayed for in John 17, he continually and constantly and without fail always gave esteem to his Father, that the excellence was of Elohim and not of himself. It's also how it takes you back to what's in Genesis 49, when he said the firstborn is the excellency of a man's strength, the beginning of his might. See, that strength and that excellency comes from being of that man's seed. firstborn of his seed. See, let's take a look at that in Genesis 49 real quick, like just in regards to what we're discussing. 49:1, if you would. Genesis 49:1. Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together and hear, you sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Yasharal your Abba. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, the excellency of power. So we will look at excellency of dignity and power. Now, of course, if you're not aware, the strict definition of Reuben is behold the son. If you go see how it reads out in the text, in Genesis chapter 29, it will tell you that Reuben means Yahuwah have looked upon my affliction. Now remember, we're looking at what? Reproach has broken my heart. We've seen that in regards, we kind of concluded with that, with the situation with the separation between Jonathan and David, how reproach had broken David's heart. The shame and disgrace and dishonor that Saul had put upon him is what caused the separation from his brother, which of course we were dealing with and looking at the book of Ezra, looking at how the king's law and Elohim's law was representative of the two greatest commandments. But let's continue. When we look at excellency, first things first, excellency is dealing with Yether. Remember, this is superiority. This is excellency. This is something that is greater. That's why he shall be called the Son of the Highest, and he shall be called great. Yod, Tau, and Rosh. So we see that the right hand brings forth the covenant of the highest. Now, if we say that, now we have to look at something else in regards to something. So keep it right here. All you have to do is swing over from 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and just jump right over to 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and look at verse 7. Let me get the first thing of excellency. Let me do that. That excellency is referring to, because we got the excellency of dignity. Dignity in Hebrew leads us to what? Seath, which is dignity, swelling, uprising. But most importantly, exaltation and rank or character. So you're looking at the excellency of character. Now, I'll give you the English definition of dignity. And as a person, you should always maintain your dignity. You should never sacrifice your dignity for anyone. When you look at dignity, that is the state or quality of worthy of honor or respect, pride in oneself, self-respect. So when you're looking at this here, of course, being in high character, if you serve Elohim, clearly you would be someone of high respect. That's one of the biggest problems with our people, period, is that you have no self-respect. But you want to carry yourself in an abased fashion and still expect to be respected. See, we do abase things and think that these things have to do with respect. I told you, like it's here, man, we've taken on a lot of negative things. Like most people in most other races do not have to show forth that they're hard, they're a killer or a gangster in order to get respect from other people. They have the freedom to be whoever they wish and whoever they want to be, and still maintain their respect and be respected by others. We don't have that luxury, so to speak. So therefore, we do a lot of things that sacrifice our dignity in order to prove ourselves to other people. We don't realize that you're doing that. That we're a bunch of characters walking around in a real life simulation to impress other people. And in doing so, again, you compromise your respect. You compromise your dignity. That's what people be talking about when they say, can we go back to when black people dressed like this? Because in their mind, we had a level of self-respect and dignity. Now, whether all the way around the board did we have that, who knows? I wasn't alive during those times to be able to speak on that. But if you say from the outside looking in, you can definitely look at different periods of history of black people in this godforsaken place, and you could perceive that they carried themselves with a lot more self-respect than what people do now. It gives you the ability to see that the more freedom you give people, the more they'll be willing to compromise their self-respect. The more latitude and freedom that individual. This is why the text tells you through the Apostle Paul, through the Ruach in his epistle letters, the same thing that Peter said, is not taking your liberty as a cloak of maliciousness, or as Paul put it, not using your liberty as an occasion to the flesh, not taking the freedom that you have and compromising your dignity and self-respect because you believe that you have the leeway to do so. See, the biggest case example of that is the so-called sexual revolution and women's liberation, that women have more freedom and they compromise their dignity in regards to the freedom that they had been given, because they felt the things that had them oppressed and stifled them was keeping them from being free and expressing themselves. And in turn, they sacrificed their dignity for it. And now they come up with things to justify in their mind the sacrifice of their dignity. Never sacrifice your dignity. Never sacrifice your honor and self-respect. Just don't do it. This is why the text says sin is a reproach to any people. Because when you, shalom, man, when you give yourself over to sin, you are sacrificing your self-respect. You're sacrificing your honor, and you're sacrificing your dignity. That's why those who are born of the son of Elohim, what manner of love has the Father bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of Elohim, because you would be the excellency of his dignity, or as this text says, you'd be the excellency of his character. You understand? You would be superior in character. This is why the Apostle John wrote, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. But let's continue. 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 7. But if the ministration of death, written and engraven in stones, was esteemed, so that the sons of Yasharal could not steadfastly behold the face of Moses for the esteem of his countenance, which esteem was to be done away with, how shall not the ministration of the Ruach be rather esteemed? For if the ministration of condemnation be esteemed, much more do the ministration of righteousness exceed in esteem. For even that which was made esteemed had no esteem in this respect, by the reason of the esteem that excel. For if that which is done away with was esteemed, much more that which remained is esteemed. Seeing then that we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech, and not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the sons of Yasharal cannot steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished. But their minds were blinded, for unto this day remain the veil untaken away, and the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Mashiach. But even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart. Nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away. Now the Lord is that Ruach, and where the Ruach of the Lord is, there is liberty. So it's letting you know that there's an excellency in dignity, because Yahuwah looked upon your affliction, aka Reuben, and if you are afflicted, you're afflicted by sin, therefore you're afflicted by death. So therefore he has looked upon your affliction because you have been born again. You have now become the excellency of his dignity, or you are superior in character. Now, let's look at the second part. Oh, another thing, man, we're going to be on your man's joint on Friday, man, at 12:30. Shoot, he had me on there last Friday evening, man. We didn't get done. That's why we got done started late. I guess whoever he had on there, they had back down. Now, of course, you have power, a word which you are familiar with. It is Oz. It is power. It is might. Ayin and Zayin. You have experienced the cutting. You've experienced the impaling. You have experienced the crucifixion. Now, let's return to 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Let's return there where we were beginning at and see how this comes off again, because we're still dealing with reproach has broken my heart, which is the word shabar for broken, which is indeed pointing us to what? Shan, Ba, and Rosh, the consumption of the son of Elohim. Yeah. He had hit me up, man. Friday I had told him you had said that. He had hit me up for Friday and was like, could I slide in at 12:30? His original dude back that wasn't responding, and then he hit him up and he was like, yeah, it's all good. Then he called me back. It was like, could you slide through at 6:30 Friday? So we slid through. But he had already asked me before that, could we come through Friday afternoon? So we're going to do that. Darius gave me something to pitch to him. So we probably pitch Isaiah 4:1 to him. It's nothing new to y'all. Probably be new to that audience. We had swung Proverbs 24:16 to them, which of course ain't nothing new to y'all, but it's new to that audience. And again, we were looking at that verse 7 in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. I said the excellency of the power may be of Elohim. So when we look at those earthen vessels, and you have the excellency of dignity, and you have the excellency of his power, where you have the excellency or the superiority of his strength and the excellency of his character, which is pointing you to the Ruach HaKodesh, because Yahuwah has looked upon your affliction. That's what we see with David in regards to how David behaved himself. He was superior in character and he was superior in strength because Yahuwah looked upon his affliction, because David had a mind and heart after Yahuwah. This is why it's important to take on the mind of Elohim. This is just not a random saying. It's just not saying these are the things that are being neglected and deflected by most brews. They're not concerned with these things. As I've told you in the past, most people are not concerned with these things because it's going to cause you to have to be self-reflective. And in being self-reflective, you're going to have to look at things, or as Yahushua himself put it in the 3rd chapter of John, you're going to have to come to the light to see that your deeds are evil. Now, see, when we look at our deeds are evil, we don't want to sit back and say, well, I'm not sinning this, that, then the third. It might not even be about if you're sinning or not. Matter of fact, there's an instance in one of the Psalms. Matter of fact, let's go to it. Psalms 139, if my memory served me correctly. Hey. What are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Why would I leave trash around the house? I would never do that. I would put trash in the trash can.
Oh, that's why you're doing that. Psalms 139:23. Why are you leaving? Oh, you're perplexed in many ways, aren't you?
And watch you, and you listen to you preach.
Oh, why you ain't reading?
Reading.
Yes. Gotta learn how to read, buddy. Psalms 139:23. Search me, O Elohim, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. Now remember what thoughts is. Thoughts ain't just you thinking now. Thoughts ain't just you sitting around thinking. Like most brews see thoughts and they automatically see your thoughts is a sin. But y'all remember that. Remember what the thoughts of foolishness is sin? Who recalls what that actually means? Well, I guess I'm finna give it away once I tell you this word for thought again to bring it back to your remembrance, just the actual word. Well, this one here is a different word, so that's fine. It's not the word that's usually used for thoughts. So you can answer that question. The word is saraf that is here for thoughts. This is disquieting thoughts. Cogitation. Y'all know what it is to have disquieting thoughts? That takes us back to the anxiousness question that we answered. Do you remember the Hebrew word for thoughts, man? Huh? Any of you remember that Hebrew words for thoughts that's used in that Proverbs, that the thoughts of foolishness is sin? And again, as it is, disquieting thoughts are feeling of anxiety or worry, as I surmised. Not in this instance, yes. That word for know my thoughts is to know your anxiety, know the things that have you anxious or worried. But there's the word, I can't recall the proverb off the top of my head. There's a proverb that say the thoughts of foolishness is sin. It's also the same word that is used in heart that devises wicked imaginations. Both words, same word there, had the same definition. Oh, ain't nobody got nothing for me at this point, huh? Come on to Proverbs 24:9 then. 24:9. The thought of foolishness is sin. Yes, ma'am, that is correct. And the scorner is an abomination to men. That word for thought here is zimma, which of course you know is plan, device, wickedness, evil plan, mischievous purpose. So in a lot of instances, now these was mentioned in Proverbs 6, in a lot of instances, when you see thoughts used in the text, shalom, Brother Reynolds, it ain't just talking about you just thinking. As we look at thinking, the word of Deidre uses the word for imagination here, which is mashaba, which is your thought, device, plan, purpose. So a lot of times when you see thoughts and imaginations in the text, it's not your actual thoughts as you would think of it in English. It's the things that you're plotting and planning out and intending on doing, which is why Yahushua would come. This is allow you to make sense why Yahushua told you that it's not what comes out of a man that defiles, what goes into a man that defiles him, but what comes out, because out of the heart proceeds, because you're plotting, planning, and inventing the evil things that you plan on doing. Now, when you see Psalms 139 and they say, know my thoughts, you're asking him to know your anxiety, to know your worry, which goes back to something that we discussed about a week or so ago about you casting your care on him because he cares for you. And that if you don't need to be careful or anxious for anything, because you ought to be thinking on Elohim and he will alleviate your worries. He will even alleviate your cares. See, the biggest problem with most people is you don't actually go to the people who can alleviate those things for whatever reason, whether it's in a natural sense, but most importantly, in the spiritual sense, which is why we started with reproach has broken my heart, and Yahushua said he was exceedingly sorrowful even unto death, because in the space of anxiety for himself, he leaned on Elohim. That's the purpose why we started there, so you could see that in action, that he was not careful for anything. All right, well, let's take a look at it, sir. Micah chapter 2. Micah chapter 2. Let's take a look at it, sir. Let's roll with it. Yes, sir. I see that was even different, because now we're going to look at them doing that with their, because see, pray the Lord. I use all that. It ain't going to hurt nothing, because this is what Saul was doing. Micah chapter 2 and verse 1. See, this is what Saul had going on, which tells us back to those who goes back to the conversation we had with the brothers and sisters on that Google Meet, with the just man falling 7 times and he rising again, that he's fallen in these 7 abominations because of people who devised iniquity, who had wicked imaginations, who had the thoughts of foolishness. Therefore, they were committed sin because they devised to shed innocent blood. Micah chapter 2 and verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Now let's look at this. We have devise. And again, you have kashab, to think, to plan, to esteem, to invent, to be mindful, to devise, to plan. We started with that with those brothers and sisters, so we'll keep it swift. You know, Matthew 26 and 1, they say, hey, man, we got to kill him. John 11, you sat down and said they went to devising a plot from that day minute forward of how they could take this man. Now it says they're plotting and planning on how to commit avon, which is wickedness and sorrow and trouble. This is what they devised. That's what they were planning on wickedness. This man says, woe to people who plan on doing wickedness. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people need to understand that. And he said they work evil on their beds. Now, when you look at working evil, that's Paul, a word you know. They make evil while they laying down. You know how type of evil person you got to be sitting down, laying in your bed, thinking about all the evil stuff you can't be doing. And remember, when we talking about evil, we talking about raw. We're talking about just being disagreeable and malignant, unhappiness and misery, giving pain, unkind, unethical. One thing I've learned in my entire life, boy, that if people like to say misery love company, and it's a true story, stay away from it. When you look at bed, it is mishkah, which is the lying down. Couch, bear, act of lying. Lying down, sleeping room, or lying down for sexual conduct. But also to couch or to lie with. And what is to couch? To lie in wait. Look at verse 2. They covet fields and take them by violence, houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man and his heritage. You know what heritage is. That's Nakalah. That's your inheritance. And what do we have here? We have the fulfilling of what Yahushua told them in Matthew 21 of those who devised the plan of taking away the husbandman's vineyard. Let's go on and look at it. Let's not talk about it. Let's just go on and look at it. Matthew chapter 21. And definitely, you know what I'm saying? One thing that I have encountered for the most part in my life, not all now, I'm not saying everybody, Matthew 21 and 33, most people who are extremely evil are extremely miserable. They may not seem miserable to the naked eye or from the outside looking in, but a lot of evil people are extremely miserable. And they go about to seek pain in order to deal with the pain that they refuse to acknowledge within themselves. That's why I be telling y'all about your churn. Whatever you felt like your people did or didn't do, you don't need to pass that on to your churn. You know what I'm saying? You got to give them something better than what you had. You know what I'm talking about? You got to be able to give them skills to be healthy, functional adults. I done told y'all this many a day. Well, your son is not just your son. That's somebody's husband and somebody's father. That's just not your daughter. That's somebody's mother and that's somebody's wife. And you're supposed to be preparing them to be able to function in those roles properly. And if you don't do the things that is necessary to where they can be healthy and functional adults, because we lack the patience and foresight to be able to bring them up properly, they're going to be damaged. See, just teaching them word is just a part of the equation. You also have to also impart the attributes of Elohim onto them because you exhibit those things. Like, where's your patience and your long suffering and your goodness and your forgiveness? Where are those things residing at when dealing with them? Like, you have to be able to exhibit that. Because the same way, okay, just like this here, right? You know that Yahuwah will crack your skull. But if you're that fearful of Yahuwah that you can't approach unto him, what good is it for him to be called your God? Well, what good is it for you to be a father if your child is scared to approach unto you? That doesn't make sense. You have to take the same level that you look at your Elohim, and you have to make sure that your child can see you in that same fashion, not just when they 4. Like, you can't just be thinking about when they 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got to be thinking about when he's 14, 15, 20, 21, 25. That he'll still come see and hearken unto your counsel and hold your weight as gold, because the attributes that you esteem and respect and reverence in Yahuwah, that they would exist within you and that he would look at you in the same regard. So we can't neglect that fact. We can't extol the patience that Yahuwah has for us and then not extend it to the offspring. If we're going to say that we're going to be the people of Elohim, then we have to be the people of Elohim all the way around the board. So if we see ourselves short with patience, that means that we need to assess our spirit. Are we moving carnally? And not just with children, but all the way around the board with everyone. Are we moving carnally? Are we moving spiritually? Indeed. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? That's just something to consider, man. I'm trying to tell you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really thinking about that just because something talking with Lil Muffin about something the other day, just sitting there looking at it like I'm asking her to read something. Of course, she was sleepy, and that played a role in it. I'm like, what do you think someone's going to strike you? I'm like, yeah, why do you think you're going to be popped when you don't get popped in that fashion? There's no need for you to be fearful. Now, this is something because this is how I was raised. My mama them did this. My auntie them did it. They didn't get frustrated with us when they were teaching us something. Now, I know with most children, they don't want to do the work. They would rather you do it for them. So instead of getting frustrated and snap, you very well may know the child know it. But since you know they know it, then that means you have to wait them out and make them do the work. Because see, I'm not going to yell at you and pop you and send you on your way. I've given you in the short term what you wanted, which was to get out of doing the work. Yes, I may feel satisfied because I got my frustration out because you were acting this, that, there, and the third. But what you have done is had a deleterious effect on them long term because you will zap away their desire and love for learning because they will equate chastisement, anger, and wrath with learning and not have a desire to do it. And you ain't got to believe that I'm telling you the truth, but I done seen too many children in my lifetime who said they people did them like that, and them niggas did not have a desire to learn. Therefore, they did not have a desire to better themselves because that's what learning is for self-improvement in order for you to be the best version of yourself. So why would you want to stunt and delay and inhibit someone's ability to improve themselves because you're frustrated? Makes no sense. This is something that my mother told me as a child. One thing that you should never do as an adult is take your frustrations out in life on them churn. Them churn ain't got nothing to do with what you got going on. And you don't need to be dropping no adult stuff on them churn because you frustrated and mad about this, that, there, and the third. You are a despicable human being if you take your frustrations out on a child who ain't got nothing to do with what you got going on, don't know nothing, don't care about nothing. All they want to do is smile and play. You frustrated as an adult and you take that out on them, you a horrible human being. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up and down. You about almost in the same boat as that funky hoe that said she wanted to get a hysterectomy on her 11-year-old son. But you don't never do that. I don't care what you got going on in life. Boy, you don't take that out on them churn. Them churn ain't after that. As an adult, you're supposed to have more restraint and more self-control, and which is being redundant. You're supposed to have more self-control, more foresight, and more care and concern about someone other than yourself than to pour your frustrations out on another human being, specifically a child who cannot even begin to understand and rationalize what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? Yahuwah don't do that. If we say we're going to model ourselves to somebody, we say we model ourselves after Yahushua. That man never did that. He never did that. Now, this is something we ain't talking, and I might have to pull that one out of the archives and rehash it and do it in a different way. But that man don't raise his kids like that. Yahuwah is the greatest father ever to exist. Look at how he raised his kids. And then we have to look at ourselves. Do we raise ours in the same fashion? And if we find ourselves in line with how he instructs his children, then so be it. But if we find ourselves not in line with how he instructs his children, then that means we're going to have to make adjustments. Simple as that. Matthew 21:33. Hear another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard, hedged it round about, digged a winepress in it, built a tower, let it out to husbandmen, and went into a far country. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen that they may receive the fruits of it. The husbandmen took his servants and beat one and killed another and stoned another. And again he sent other servants, more than the first, and they did unto them likewise. But last of all he sent unto them men, his son. They will reverence my son. But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance. And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. When the Lord therefore of the vineyard come, what shall he do unto those husbandmen? They say unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him his fruit in their seasons. Yahushua said unto them, did you never read in the scriptures the stone which the builders rejected? The same has become the head of the corner. This is Yahuwah's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore I say unto you, the kingdom of Elohim shall be taken from you and given to a nation, bringing forth the fruits thereof. Whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken. On whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. When the chief priests and Pharisees heard his parables, they perceived that he spake of them. But when they sought to lay hands on him, they feared the multitude because they took him for a prophet. Now just keep that in mind because we're still talking about these men who are coveting fields to take them by violence, to oppress a man in his house and even his heritage, because they wanted to take the inheritance of Yasharal and Jerusalem from this man. They say if we let him alone, we'll lose our place in nation, because what they were concerned about, if he becomes king, what place would they have? So let's seize on his inheritance and take it. Let's go return to Psalms 139. Now, of course, we looked at know my thoughts, know my care, know my anxiety, know the things that I'm worried about. This is what Yahuwah, this is what Abba did for Yahushua. He searched him. He knew his heart and he tried him and he knew his anxiety and he took it away, which is why he could say, not my will be done, but your will be done. And the Malachim could come and strengthen him, again showing you that two is better than one, because if he fall, who shall pick him up? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I don't care what nobody tells you. Nobody can venture through this life alone and think that you're going to make it. If you think that you can go on life in a solo mission, you're a damn fool. There's not a single individual in life that has accomplished anything on their own. Anybody who tell you that is a lie. There's no such thing as a self-made man. Any man who made any amount of money, he had to have somebody assist him and help him along the way. Whether it was people who he hired, people who he partnered with, nobody gets anywhere alone. See, that's that nigga talk. That's that selfish talk. I did it on my own. I ain't need nobody. One person ain't gonna beat no team. They tell you that in sports all the time, specifically in basketball, and you see it all the time. One man ain't beat no team. I don't care how good you think you are. I don't care how great you think you are. One man ain't gonna beat five people working together seamlessly. It's not happening. It's not happening. You're not accomplishing anything of note on your own. You have to be willing enough. This is something I learned from when they had these, they used to have them business mentors when I was in middle school. And they used to always tell us that hire people smarter than you, put them in positions of where they are better than you at. Indeed it is, sir. You know what I'm saying? And you'll go further. I just was seeing that there, and they perpetuating that stupidity in sports all the time. Y'all tell me, see, I did it my way. I did it the hard way. Don't listen to no jackass telling you to do stuff the hard way. Nowhere in life do they tell you to take the most difficult way, but black people. Black people are the only people who champion finding the most difficult way to accomplish something. No other race of people lives by this idiot credo. I did it the hard way. I got it out the mud. That ain't nothing to be proud of. Why would you do it difficult? That means you worked harder and not smarter. You should want to do things in the most efficient way possible with the most highly intelligent people that you can find. That's how you win. All that, I'm going to be loyal and stick it out and fight through it. You're a jackass. I bet you don't even sit back and realize that of those men who Yahushua picked as apostles, you think he chose the worst? You think he chose men of low regard and low character? This man had already chosen these men from the foundation of the world. You don't think that he chose the highest quality of men he could take? Definitely longer and more exhausting. But see, they try to feed you that on the low by telling you, look at these people on these super teams, because you got to remember, these are only black men who are doing these things. And they're trying to tell you that you should take the most difficult way to success for the very reason of what Sean just mentioned, because it takes longer. They want you to believe that you should not get the best and brightest and form an alliance to be a juggernaut and win, because this is what they do in every other area of society in the West. Shoot, in other countries too, but a lot of them, they don't have no choice because the government tell them, you coming over here and this is what you doing. But you're going to win when you got a group of people who are highly intelligent, dedicated to the same plan, working together. You're going to win. That is a very hard thing to defeat. Two people who are on the same page. That's why he says, what, you going to make the Ruach of the Lord a harlot? Because he who is joined to the Lord is one, which means you're working together for the same objective, which is the esteem of Abba in heaven. So that means you're going to work stealthily and dedicate yourself to accomplishing that mission, which is what like I just seen somebody say that I went to school with, talking about how Kevin Samuel say marriage ain't for love, because it's not. And the fact that individuals don't even see that in the word, because when he say it's not for love, we're equating the emotional feeling versus what the text say that love is, because at the end of the day, Adam and Eve ain't getting married for love. This man ain't know nothing about none of that, other than she came from him, so he loved with that which was a piece of himself. But when you look at him saying Elohim loved the world, that he gave his only begotten son, what were those things that he was showing? Duty and responsibility. I love this person, therefore I will fulfill my duty and responsibility that I have to them. So, and when he's saying that in regards to emotion. People are looking for the feeling of love. You're not looking at the work of love, which is why people reject Elohim. because the work of love is duty and responsibility. That is overlooked because you want to feel love. That's why people are unhappy. That's why the divorce rate is high. That's why people go from person to person, because you're chasing a high that you're never going to catch. Therefore, you have people imagining a fairy tale that cannot happen. And how do we know this? Because we know that there were arranged marriages and none of these people married because they loved one another. They married each other because this was the cultural thing to do. I have chosen a spouse for my daughter, and they're going to fulfill a duty and responsibility to one another, prayerfully in the sanctification of the faith of the living Elohim. And through that, they're going to love one another according to the duty and responsibility that Yahuwah has ordained from the foundation of the world that men should walk in. But because we're looking for emotional highs and feelings, you are completely unfulfilled. And truth be told, that is a personal problem. Why is it a personal problem? Because you don't understand what love is. And that's not somebody's job to cause you to understand that. Now, Yahuwah has caused us to understand that. He has caused us to understand that because he was willing to take on the reproaches of them that reproached him. That fell on him. And he was willing to give his own life. He was willing to become a man and suffer in the flesh so that his father would look upon his affliction, that you might have the opportunity to take part in the excellency of his dignity and the excellency of his power, that you could be a part of the superiority of his character and the superiority of his might by being filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. But see, we don't look at it that fashion, because you're not going to get an emotional feeling from the love of Yahuwah. That's not what you're going to get. If you're looking for that, I mean, you're looking to fall out in church like with the Holy Ghost. That's what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? You're looking to flap on the floor and do that there in the third. When you get the love from Yahuwah, there's not going to be an emotional feeling. It's going to be an extending of mutual honor and respect one to another, because Yahuwah honors and respects those that honor and respect him. So therefore, you get the joy and the I don't want to say being ecstatic or the ecstasy, if you would, but you get the joy and the rejoicing and the peacefulness of heart, because you are in Elohim and Elohim is in you. And that's a different conversation. I'm telling you, that's why people are unfulfilled, because you're seeking after emotions. You're seeking after things that are temporary and not the things that are eternal. Back to 2 Corinthians chapter. We're in verse 8. That's what gets us in trouble every time. And I'm more speaking to the men more than anything. We're the ones who are not controlling our emotions. I've told you many times before, you should never love or be in love with a woman. That's an emotional attachment. You shouldn't be in love with your kids. You shouldn't be in love with your mother, father, family, or friends. None of that. Because it's all temporary. You should love the people who are in your life. It means if you see, the emotional attachment is you're looking for the feeling of love from these people, versus loving the people in your life, which is mean you're going to maintain the duty and responsibility that goes along with love, which we were discussing when we were looking at the law of the king, because he said to love one another. Well, love thinks no ill to his neighbor. So you're going to love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you was hungry, you would want your neighbor to feed you. So therefore you would do that for your brother. If your brother was in mourning or in pain, then you would be there to comfort him. If your husband desires service, then you would serve him. If your children need a hug, then you would hug them. If they needed instruction, then you would instruct them. But because we're not taught that love is a verb, and it's something that you manifest and do through actions to show that you love someone, this is why most people walking around not knowing when somebody actually loves them and actually cleaves to the people who make them feel love through emotional manipulation. But through actual execution, these people despise them. And you can't see it because you are tied to the emotion, the feeling. As men, that should not happen. We should not be operating in that fashion. You should know that love is manifested through duty and responsibility. We all laugh and joke when you look at the clip of Denzel Washington talking to his son in Fences, but he didn't tell him no lie. I don't have to like you. I have a responsibility to you because I made a decision to participate in an act which therefore brought forth you. So because I love you, I fulfill my duty and responsibility to you. See, when you look at Yahuwah telling you in Deuteronomy 7 that he set his love upon you, not because you were the most amongst people, but because he said, because of my covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he made a promise to Abraham. Therefore, he's going to fulfill the duty and responsibility according to the word that he swore to that man. And because he entered into a covenant with you, I'm going to maintain my duty and responsibility that I swore that I would do based off the agreement that I made with you. That's why he said Elohim first loved us. We didn't love him because he continually fulfills his duty and responsibility according to the word which he said he would do. See, that's a different type of thing. That's a different type of maneuvering. And we don't want to maneuver in that way, because if we maneuver in that way, that means we have to sacrifice ourselves. Nevertheless, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 8, we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. That's what you're seeing with the Lord. Always bearing about in the body the dying of the Lord Yahushua, that the life also of Yahushua may be manifest in our body. For we live always delivered unto death for Yahushua's sake, the life also of Yahushua might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. So death work in us, but life in you. See, that goes back to what we were talking about he was broken in heart. Consumed, the son of Elohim is consumed. Death worked in him so that life could be in us. This is what Paul is expressing to the assembly in Corinth, because we have the same ruach of faith, according as it is written, I believe, therefore I have spoken. We also believe and therefore speak, knowing that he which raised up the Lord Yahushua shall raise up us also by Yahushua and shall present us with you. See, a lot of us don't look. Let's return to this Psalms 139, because that's what we're looking at. If he knows your thoughts and he knows your cares and your worries, then he can remove them when he takes you. Because remember, if he's going to try you, that means he's going to examine you. If you remember, that's bahan. That is to examine or prove, to make a trial. Well, you can only be examined and proved in real life application. See, we want to look at examine like he's going to peek in your heart and say, he's got a problem here. No, he's going to take you through there to see how you're going to react based off what you're caring anxious about, to see what you're going to do. See, when he put Yahushua through the tribulation and persecution, he leaned on Elohim. We see David doing the same thing. All the stuff that we've been examining with the interaction between David, Saul, and Jonathan, David did the same thing. See, that's what we don't want. See, you thinking him searching your heart and trying your heart is just him looking in and saying, they've got a problem with this. I'll tinker it and take a wrench and move this bolt over here and do that there. No, he's going to put you in a real life situation and circumstance and try and prove out to see what's in your heart. And that's what individuals don't like to deal with. That's why he say the word is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Yahuwah going to put you in a real life situation and circumstance and see what you going to do. Because at the end of the day, you ain't going to know nobody's heart till you see them in situations and circumstances that their heart might be revealed. And once you see people in situations and circumstances and their heart has been revealed, man, that just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to take that information and conduct yourself accordingly. You know what I'm talking about? That's about all you can do. You know, y'all know the old saying, once people show you who they are, believe them. I mean, it ain't no truer story than that. Somebody get faced with some manner of affliction and they fold and turn their back on Yahuwah and want to play with tarot cards and pray to crystals and this, that, and the third. Well, shoot, nigga, that's what was in their heart. He examined it. He proved you out. That's the purpose of affliction. That's the purpose of persecution. That's the purpose of suffering. That's the purpose of tribulations. That's why he say you must go through much tribulation and enter into the kingdom of Elohim. Let's see what's in your heart for real. Oh, y'all forgot what he told you in Jeremiah 17. Come on around here and let's take a look at it, because I think y'all done forgot. You can pick it up in verse 5 on general principle. I thank the Lord. Yahuwah is good, and his mercy endures forever. His word is just and right altogether. That's how it's not difficult to see who's chosen and who's not, who believes in Elohim and who doesn't, because he's put you in situations and circumstances to reveal what's in your heart. Because remember, we talk about thoughts of foolishness and sin, devising wicked imaginations. The right David in this psalm is saying, hey, if there's any care and anxiousness in me, search me out, try me and prove me. We seen that. He had anxiousness about with Saul trying to kill him on that new moon. You seen what they did. You seen what he did with the foreskins. You seen what he did when he had the opportunity to kill Saul. That was a trying and examination of that man's heart. And he proved to be faithful to Elohim every time. And so you know the beauty of trying and the examination of your heart, that you may not even realize that this man is examining your heart until after you proved yourself faithful. See, sometimes the trying and examination ain't just you being in a situation and you lose your cool. You know what I'm talking about? The trying and examination is the trying and examining of your faith. Do you really rely on this man like you say you do? Do you really believe that he's faithful like you say he is? See, we ain't talking about, you got a little temper and somebody piss you off and you cuss him out. You had a moment of, you had a carnal lapse. You know what I'm saying? That's not necessary in an examination. You know what I'm saying? That's just letting you know I need to control myself a little better. I still need to get a hold of my temper. Need to get a hold of my mouth. The book tell you that the tongue's an unruly thing, difficult to tame. If you can tame your tongue, you can tame the whole body. So that's a different type of thing. But that examination, that's putting you in situations and circumstances to see if you remain faithful. Uh-oh. Jeremiah 17:5. Thus saith Yahuwah, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, who make flesh his arm, whose heart depart from Yahuwah. That son David never did. That son Yahushua never did. Remember, all the stuff we talk about with Yahushua and David is what? Seeing that they had to suffer to sit on the throne. Praise Yahuwah. That they had to suffer to sit on the throne. For their hearts were shown to be faithful to Elohim after their examination. You think Yahuwah was going to let David and Yahushua sit on that throne and the boy's heart wasn't right? Y'all don't remember that's what he did to Abraham, tested him, tempted him. He was trying to examine him. Is he faithful or not? You know what the epistle of Hebrews said. He knew he swore to him Isaac was going to be his seed. He trusted Elohim would raise that boy from the dead if he sacrificed him. He said, one thing I know, Yahuwah ain't no liar. So I'm faithful with mine. Uh-oh. See, that's what Hebrews don't want to talk about. See, them brews ain't going to be, if Yahuwah permitted, we talk about 7 women coming to one man, it ain't going to go in the direction they think it's going to go, because you think somebody care about what another man do with his penis. So I don't care what you do with your penis. I don't care where you put it. I don't care what you do with it. Ain't none of my business. I don't care. You want you 17 wide, that's your business. Talk to Yahuwah about it. You know what I'm talking about? But when we talk about the aspects of taking on this man's character and being proved out that we trust and rely on this man, that's the different conversation. That's what I was saying to talk about. I don't care about all of that. I don't care about all that extra stuff. That stuff is irrelevant to me. Man, this whole life is irrelevant to me. It does stuff that we be bragging and boasting about that we doing. Man, Yahuwah don't care about none of that. Because when it come down, a lot of dudes going to get showed out. They don't even trust that man. Always looking at the stuff that we can accomplish in this life as if that's validation of our faithfulness to him. Put these boys in real life situations, they fold. That junk ain't no different when we was in the street. Niggas talk all that tough guy stuff all they want to them white folks get him in that police car and get him in that interrogation room. These boys folding. Folding. I'm talking about off top. Soon as a little pressure comes, these niggas folding up. Niggas ain't got enough sense to know the game. Just put it here. I'm going to give you the parallels of the two. You a criminal. But you already know the rules of the game. Police get you, first thing you supposed to ask for is your attorney. I don't want to talk to you. They tell you off top, you got a right to remain silent. You got right to an attorney. Man, look here, man. If them people had something on you, they wouldn't be asking you no questions. So what you sitting in there talking to them for? You's a dummy. You had already crumpled under the pressure. I don't want to talk to you, man. You know what I'm saying? Take me where you going to take me and do what you going to do. because I'm going to take accountability for the responsibility of what I have engaged myself in. Therefore, I am willing to take the pressure of the situation. But now you flip this over to the word. You already know what time it is. Your adversary, the devil, is walking about like a roaring lion, looking to whom he may devour. And you ought to resist him steadfast in the faith. See, a lot of people get put in situations and circumstances, and you not resisting this man in the faith, and you get in an interrogation room and you rat. You folding under the pressure. You first 48ing it. You telling for a cigarette and a McDonald's quarter pounder. I tell you whatever you want to know. It ain't right. It ain't right. We all know the saying, pressure busts pipes, and it ain't no lie. You want to see the character of a man? See how he handled adversity. And now you'll see all you need to know. That's why a lot of black people really press for sports, because of the metaphors to life that sports has. Because sports has you face adversity. And as a man, you have to learn the ability to handle and overcome adversity. That's why so many black men press to put their kids in sports, because they played it, and a lot of them learn those things and feel like that it's beneficial to their manhood. And that's why we promote it. Underlying, if you talk to a lot of young men, especially if they grew up in low income areas and inner city areas and things of that nature, they'll tell you that's why they coach youth sports and push kids to be in sports and be highly involved, because of the parallels of life that exists in it. Because if you play sports, you're going to have to learn to overcome some manner of adversity. You're going to be faced with a difficult situation and circumstance. And you see a lot of dudes in sport, they quit. What I told you the other day, Little Muffin, is quitting allowed? No, ain't no quitting. That's why I mentioned that earlier about if you know a child is trying to get out of a task, they're trying to quit. You getting frustrated and yelling and popping them is really allowing them to quit. I'm not going to allow you to quit. You're going to finish the task. I wouldn't care if you had to sit here for 2 hours. You're going to finish it, just for the simple fact that you're going to learn that we don't quit in this house. There are no shortcuts. There is no walking away. There is no giving up. You are going to finish what I have set before you to do. And you may look at it as something small, but in reality, you're trying to give them levels of wisdom that will carry with them for the entirety of life. Because it's not just the fact of sitting them down and doing it. It's reiterating the fact that you're sitting here because you have something that I'm not going to allow you to walk away from because you don't feel like doing it. So twofold, I've taught you the ability not to quit, and I'm instilling discipline in you at the same time. It's bigger than just, this nigga don't want to do it. You're trying to give them life skills that will stay with them for the entirety of life. And whether you realize it or not, examine the text. Yahuwah teaches the same way. That old Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off, Yahuwah teaches the same way. He's teaching you life lessons you don't realize you being taught them until you're faced with the situation and circumstance, and then you recall this is exactly what he has taught you. Now you know how to face the situation and circumstance and overcome it, because he was giving you the tools of wisdom to do it the whole time. That's why he say he's speaking parables, and the parables are given unto the wise. That's why he say only those who fear Yahuwah and those who seek instruction. Let me get that for you one quick time before we get out of here. Proverbs chapter 1, if you would. And then I'm going to knock out this Jeremiah 17. We'll call it a night because we had 8. It's 8:37. Proverbs chapter 1. Who you telling? Straight up and down. Shoot, I ain't going to lie to you, Monte. After I told you I want a lawyer the first time, I don't want to talk. I'm going to drop my head on that table. I'm going to go to sleep. Just like 8th grade math class. I'm out of here. I'm taking a nap. Proverbs 1:1. But to your point, that's resisting the devil steadfast in the faith, just like what Yahusha did. His point is what I'm talking about. He's telling you, just telling you not talking without your lawyer for every answer and interrogation. Every time Satan came with something, all Yahusha did was answering back with the word. He responded back, I want my lawyer. Remember, we talked about that. That's your advocate. All you got to do is come back with the word. But you're not going to do that unless you actually trust. That's what happens. You get examined and you fold because you forget on what you already know. Man, I've been in a situation, man, one time where it was, man. We was in Atlantic Beach, man. Police was all at the lady window with a pistol. I forgot what it was. They were coming, right? And we standing outside. They like, you gonna go in the house? I said, man, I ain't going nowhere. He said, when we get finished over here, I'm gonna take you to jail. I said, I bet you lying. You know what I'm talking about? And when they came over there, I went in the house. I had two of my homeboys with them. I locked the front door, locked the screen door. You know what I'm talking about? They, amen, Derek. They looking at me like, bro, what they gonna do? I said, bro, they ain't got no warrant. They can't come in here. Them stupid bastards ran to the back door thinking we gonna run out the back door. And I went right at that screen door and waved at them. I'm like, dummy, what am I gonna come out the door for? You can't come in here. And they left. You know what I'm saying? But my homeboys, them nervous. I'm like, bro, unless they kick the door in, boy, they can't come in here, bro. They ain't got no warrant. I don't care nothing about what they talking about. They can't do nothing to us unless we stupid enough to go out the door. Period, point blank. They can't do nothing to us like we stupid enough. I couldn't even believe Atlanta Beach police. They literally went to the back door thinking, what am I run out the back for? In my house. Because you upset because we watching you because you at this lady window with a pistol. Talking about a welfare check. I say, nah, bro, we making sure you don't do nothing to that lady, man. Because y'all looking like burglars. You might get shot. We're going to arrest you. You're going to arrest these nuts. That's what you can do. Oh, we got you. You going to jail. Okay, wait for it. Walk right in the house, slam the door in his face. Lock the door. Now what you going to do now, you punk bastard, you? You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to stand on something. And if you get persecuted for standing on what you know what's right, then so be it. But you got to be a man about yours. You can't be around here folding under pressure. John don't make no sense. Proverbs 1:1. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Yasharal, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, equity. Listen, when we say to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man, knowledge and discretion, a wise man will hear and will increase in learning. A man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and the dark sayings, the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. See, the beginning of knowledge comes with reverence and respect. If your offspring hold you in high regard and respect, you can teach them anything. You can teach them anything. The reverence and respect don't come from yelling. The reverence and respect don't even come from beating. The reverence and respect, as the book tells you, there's forgiveness with Yahuwah that he might be feared or that he might be revered. But the reverence and respect comes from you being a man of honor and respect to begin with, of you conducting yourself in an honorable and respectable fashion, of you demanding your respect and setting the boundaries that you are going to respect my authority, and that I'm going to impart the respect for my authority, not just because I can bash you upside your head. Do you know what I'm saying? Anybody can do that. See, that's when you're trying to rule out of fear. I don't need to rule no woman and no child out of fear. I don't need you to fear me. I don't need you walking around scared of me. I need you to give me the respect that I'm due as a man. I don't need you to fear me, because people who fear you will eventually turn on you. And all you have to do is look through the annals of history to see that. People who led with that type of heavy hand, who people feared, then people sought a way to kill that person. You want honor and respect. You don't want no fear. Fear ain't no way to rule. That's why, and you already know that, because Yahuwah has already told you that through the mouth of David. He that ruleth amongst men must be just. And being just, there has to be patience, compassion, mercy, and gentleness. Let's continue. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 5. Ah, you were hungry, weren't you? I see. You very rarely leave nothing on the plate. Thus saith Yahuwah, cursed be the man that trust in man, who make flesh his arm, whose heart depart from Yahuwah. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good come, but shall inhabit the parched places, in the wilderness and in the salt land, and not inhabited. Baruch is the man that trusts in Yahuwah, whose hope Yahuwah is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, that spread out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat come, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall you cease from yielding fruit. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, Yahuwah, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. Let me finish this last verse in Psalms 139, if you would. I'll read 23 again. That's what he tells you. He said he tried to reigns, and he going to reward you according to what you do. And look how he balanced that out. Those who trust in man, those who trust in Yahuwah. Where your trust lies is where your reward lies when he tries your reins, or he searches and examines your inward parts. Psalms 139 and 23. Search me, O Elohim, and know my heart, and try me and know my worry, my anxiety, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. Now, when it say to see if there be any wicked way in me, the wicked here is not what you think it is. It is osab. And in that one there, it means pain or sorrow. So when they threw in it's ayin, sod, and bat, so you know the way of the son of Elohim. See, they threw wicked in there, and that throw you off. But when you look at that thoughts and see that thoughts means care and anxiety and worry, and you say, if there be any pain or sorrow in me, lead me in the way of everlasting. And what does that take us to? Come unto me, all you that are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Let's end with that Matthew chapter 11, if you would. Yahuwah willing, we will revisit this Psalms 139 and be more detailed in regards to dealing with David and Yahushua in that regard. But I definitely want you to ponder. This is Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. I definitely want you to ponder on what Psalms 139, verses 23 and 24 is actually conveying. Remember, search me, O Elohim, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxiety, and see, now that there be any, is not there. And see if pain is in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting, or sorrow. Because, of course, if you have care and anxiety, that care and anxiety brings forth sorrow. Matthew 11 and 28, come unto me, all you that are heavy, that labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. Because you have taken his yoke upon you, this is how he can lead you in the way of everlasting. And he just lets you know that he's meek and lowly, and that therefore you can find peace in your heart. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. We will stop right there for now. All praises be to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Prayerfully, there was some level of understanding being able to bring forth. Appreciate y'all time this evening. Bless y'all out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Always remember that Yahuwah is faithful, and let his words of righteousness be your guide. Again, blessings out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Yahuwah willing, we'll pick it up on the Shabbat and do it again. And until that time,